Look, I know you've been very exercised, Ed Husick, on this ACCC code of conduct that they've been looking at in relation to Facebook and the big media providers. The government says it will go ahead, and that they've implied that they think that the big tech giants are just bluffing because they've done this before. What do you think?
I have to say I'm doing something that's weird for an Australian politician. I'm sure other people can find other ways to describe it. But I want to call out some contrary things on this. I mean, a lot of big media businesses in this country are complaining about the impact on their advertising as a result of these platforms coming in, yet small and medium enterprises have been locked out due to what the big businesses would have said is just the normal operation of supply and demand, and they got frozen out price-wise from being able to advertise. I had a local business actually tell me they dipped into their super savings to pay tens of thousands of dollars to do advertising in traditional media. Google changed that. A lot of these online platforms changed that, and now that it's been effective in terms of having lower cost advertising for small and medium enterprises, we've seen a lot of those big media businesses complain about that. There's something to be said about Australian business learning to actually take an interest in technology early on, rather than ignoring it and not dealing with it and adapting to it and then relying on regulation down the track. And the biggest thing, I'll end on this point, Patricia, that I can't get out of my head is why were these negotiations between the ACCC, big tech and big media prematurely shut down? Did the ACCC complain about the behaviour of big tech behind closed doors? Because I understand that's not the case. Why did the government pressure them to do it? And how is it that a treasurer, in his lead up to the first recession budget in 30 years, reckons he's going to get that budget done, plus these media laws done in the time frame that they're signalling will get done? Will be very interesting to see. There's just too many questions unanswered, Patricia, and that's why I keep calling out this stuff to be tested.
Do you think that, Matt Canavan, that these big tech giants, people, Facebook specifically, are just bluffing?
Well, look, I don't know for sure, Patricia. We did see something similar a few years ago when we decided to impose GST on imports to protect the rights of small businesses here who had to, of course, pass on GST. And Amazon at the time declared that they'd pull out of Australia. They didn't do that. They didn't follow through with it. I think what we're seeing here is because Australia's going first, we're one of the first countries to stand up for basically copyright, which I think is the right thing to do. If these other platforms are going to use the commercial material of other entities, they should be paying a fee for it, just as radio does when they play someone's song. We're one of the first countries to do this, so I think they're trying to make an example of us because they don't want to see, Google and Facebook don't want to see this rolled out in the rest of the world, so they're worried if it's successful here, we will see it roll out in the rest of the world. But I think it's right and proper we stand up to what are, in effect, massive multinational, if not monopolies, certainly companies with significant market power, and we need to have a free and open competitive market in advertising. I see what Ed's saying, but that was probably a few years ago. Now Google and Facebook are in a very, very strong position in the advertising market.
Thank you to both of you.
I don't have a problem with what you're saying, Matt, in the sense that, sorry, I'll just very quickly, Patricia, without hijacking your show. I don't have a problem. I think Google and Facebook, their market power has to be dealt with, absolutely. You cannot have that level. I think publishers do need to get paid. In fact, I think we should be prioritising regional publishers to get much stronger powers to deal with big tech. But there has been also, as much as you're talking about big tech, I'm watching one big American firm in terms of News Corp take on another very big American firm in terms of Google. Let's call them all out in terms of their size, and let's also be realistic about using the power of government intervention to make a difference for smaller players. Okay. And that's where I reckon it should come in. Sorry,
all right,
Patricia.
I'm going to have to call it goodbye. Thank you to both of you. Labor MP Ed Husick and National Senator Matt Canavan joining me this afternoon.